I'm about to reveal something that might shock you, especially if you're over the age of 60 and have ever felt that strange moment of dizziness when you stand up in the morning. I'm Dr. Emma Whitmore, and after more than 2 decades as a cardiovascular surgeon, after cutting into arteries, examining heart tissue with my own eyes, and treating thousands of patients whose circulation systems were failing in ways they never understood, I can tell you with absolute certainty that almost everything you've been told about those morning dizzy spells is wrong. You've been told it's normal. You've been told it's just age. Some doctors even dismiss it with a casual phrase like "stand up slower." But the truth is far more serious and far more dangerous, because what many people experience in those first seconds after standing is not harmless dizziness. It's a temporary failure of your body's blood pressure control system, and if you don't understand what's happening inside your body, that momentary drop in blood flow to your brain can become a silent time bomb in your cardiovascular system. Let me tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor was 73 years old when she came into the emergency department after collapsing in her kitchen at 7 in the morning. She was meticulous about her health. She took her prescribed blood pressure medication every night, she followed her doctor's instructions perfectly, and her last clinic reading had been 122/72. Excellent control, her physician had told her. But that morning, when Eleanor got out of bed, something happened that no one had explained to her. The moment she stood up, gravity pulled nearly 2 cups of blood down into her legs. Normally, your body has microscopic pressure sensors in your neck, called carotid sinus baroreceptors, that act like traffic controllers, instantly signaling your heart to beat slightly faster and your blood vessels to tighten so blood keeps flowing to your brain. But Eleanor's system hesitated. Just a few seconds. That delay allowed her blood pressure to crash to 90/50 before her body could correct it. In that moment, the blood flow to her brain dropped, her vision darkened, and she fell. She fractured her hip. Within 6 months, complications from surgery and immobility led to heart failure, all because her blood pressure regulation system failed for just a few seconds when she stood up. And here's what makes me furious. This mechanism is predictable. It's measurable. And it's incredibly common in adults over 60. In fact, research shows nearly 1 in 5 people over 65 experience these drops in pressure when standing. Yet almost no one explains the biology behind it. Imagine your circulation system like a massive plumbing network in a tall building. When you're lying down, water pressure is evenly balanced across every floor. But the moment you stand, gravity suddenly pulls that fluid toward the lower levels. Without a rapid response valve system, the top floor, your brain, briefly runs dry. In the next part, I'm going to explain exactly why aging slows the body's pressure sensors, how dehydration and medications quietly amplify the drop, and why those few seconds of dizziness could be the earliest warning sign of a much larger cardiovascular problem developing inside your body right now. Before I explain why those morning drops in blood pressure happen, I want you to picture something very simple. Imagine your circulation system as a city with millions of streets and highways, and your blood is the traffic moving through it. Your brain sits at the very top of the hill in that city, and gravity is constantly trying to pull traffic downhill toward your legs. When you stand up, about 1 to 3 cups of blood immediately shift downward. In a younger person, an incredibly fast safety system prevents disaster. Inside your neck, in the walls of the carotid arteries, there are microscopic pressure sensors called carotid sinus baroreceptors. Think of them as traffic cameras watching the pressure inside your arteries every second. The moment they detect even the smallest drop, they send electrical signals through the vagus and glossopharyngeal nerves straight to the brainstem. That command center instantly tells the heart to beat a little faster and instructs blood vessels in the legs to tighten. It's like thousands of tiny traffic officers suddenly waving cars back uphill toward the brain. The whole process normally happens in less than 1 second. You never notice it, but with aging, those sensors become less sensitive and the nerve signals travel slightly slower. It may only be a delay of 2 or 3 seconds, but that brief delay can allow blood pressure to fall dramatically before the system catches up. Let me tell you about Thomas. Thomas was 79 years old and had been treated for high blood pressure for nearly 15 years. He took an alpha blocker medication every night because his doctor said it would relax his blood vessels and protect his heart. And during the day, his numbers looked perfect, 125/70. But early one morning he stood up from his bed and suddenly felt the room tilt. His blood pressure dropped nearly 25 points within seconds. The medication that relaxed his blood vessels during the night also slowed his ability to tighten those vessels when he stood. His baroreceptors tried to respond, but they were already slower because of age. The result was a momentary blackout in circulation to the brain. He didn't completely faint, but he fell against a dresser and fractured his wrist. When we monitored his blood pressure standing versus sitting, the mechanism became obvious. And here's where most people miss the real problem. Blood pressure is not a single number measured in a doctor's office. It's a constantly changing system influenced by fluid levels, hormones, nerve signals, and blood vessel elasticity. Overnight, your body loses fluid through breathing and normal metabolism. By morning, many people are mildly dehydrated. That means your blood volume is slightly lower. Imagine that plumbing system again. If the pipes already contain less water, a sudden drop in pressure becomes even more dramatic when gravity pulls fluid downward. Now add another layer. Blood pressure follows a natural circadian rhythm. During sleep, it drops to its lowest levels. As morning approaches, hormones like cortisol rise to wake the body up and prepare the cardiovascular system for activity. For a brief window during that transition, pressure regulation becomes unstable. It's like a power grid switching generators during the early hours of the morning. Most of the time the lights stay on, but occasionally there's a flicker. That flicker is the dizziness people feel when they stand. Research published in cardiovascular journals has shown that nearly 20% of adults over 65 experience measurable orthostatic drops in blood pressure of 20 millimeters of mercury or more when standing. That's not a minor fluctuation. That's a significant change in circulation reaching the brain. And here's another piece most doctors rarely explain. The brain has its own defense system called cerebral autoregulation. Tiny arteries inside the brain adjust their diameter automatically to keep blood flow steady. Think of them like adjustable faucets controlling pressure to sensitive equipment. But with aging, especially in people who have lived with high blood pressure for years, those vessels become stiffer. Their ability to adjust quickly declines. So when systemic blood pressure suddenly falls, the brain's backup system may not compensate as effectively as it once did. The result is that moment of fogginess, dim vision, or dizziness. It's the brain briefly receiving less oxygenated blood. Some people ignore it. Others experience repeated episodes. But what many don't realize is that each episode is a signal that the body's pressure regulation network is under strain. And when that network becomes unstable, the risk of falls, fractures, and cardiovascular stress increases dramatically. In the next section, I'm going to explain what simple actions can stabilize that system, how hydration and muscle activation influence blood pressure within seconds, and why the way you stand up in the morning can change the entire circulation pattern in your body for the rest of the day. Now here is where the story changes, because the moment you understand how this system works, you begin to see that those dizzy spells are not random accidents. They are signals that the body's pressure regulation network needs support during the transition from lying down to standing. Think of your circulatory system again like a tall building, with water pipes running from the basement to the rooftop. The heart is the pump in the basement, pushing fluid upward. When you lie down, every floor of the building receives equal pressure because gravity isn't pulling fluid strongly in any direction. But the moment you stand up, it's as if someone suddenly opened a series of drain valves on the lower floors. Blood flows downward into the veins of the legs. The veins expand slightly, acting almost like storage tanks. In younger adults, muscles in the legs immediately tighten, and squeeze those veins, pushing blood back upward towards the heart and brain. That squeezing action is sometimes called the muscle pump. It works every time you move your ankles, flex your calves, or shift your weight while standing. But in many older adults, the first movement of the day happens before those muscles activate. The person goes from lying flat to fully upright within seconds. Gravity wins the race before the muscle pump engages. Blood pools briefly in the lower limbs, circulation to the brain dips, and dizziness appears. Let me tell you about Margaret, who was 76 when she first noticed the problem. Every morning she stood up quickly because she was eager to start her day. Within seconds she would feel lightheaded. At first she ignored it, but one morning while walking toward the bathroom she lost her balance and fell. Fortunately, she avoided a fracture, but the experience frightened her enough to investigate what was happening. When her blood pressure was measured lying down, sitting, and standing, the pattern was clear. Her pressure dropped nearly 20 points within the first minute of standing. What changed her experience was something remarkably simple. She learned to activate the body's natural circulation helpers before fully standing. While sitting at the edge of the bed, she began flexing her ankles, tightening her calf muscles, and slowly engaging the muscle pump that pushes blood upward. Within seconds, those contractions squeeze the deep veins in the legs like gentle hands pressing water through a hose. Blood returns toward the heart more efficiently, and pressure reaching the brain stabilizes before the person fully stands. Another important factor is hydration. Overnight, the body can lose significant fluid through breathing and normal metabolism. For older adults whose kidneys conserve water less efficiently, that overnight fluid loss can reduce circulating blood volume by morning. Imagine again that building's plumbing systems starting the day with slightly less water in the pipes. When gravity pulls fluid downward, the pressure drop becomes more noticeable. Drinking water after waking helps restore volume and can trigger a reflex that slightly increases blood pressure. Some research suggests that consuming a glass of water shortly after waking can produce measurable improvements in circulation within minutes. Environmental factors can also influence morning blood pressure stability. Warm sleeping environments can cause blood vessels to dilate during the night, which may leave vascular tone slightly reduced in the morning. Diet can also play a role because sodium balance affects how much fluid the body retains overnight. These factors combine with the body's natural circadian rhythm of blood pressure, which is typically lowest during sleep and rises again toward morning as hormones like cortisol prepare the body for activity. During that transition window, the cardiovascular system may temporarily be more sensitive to rapid posture changes. Understanding these mechanisms allows people to adopt habits that support smoother circulation when waking. Sitting briefly before standing, activating the leg muscles, and restoring fluid intake can give the cardiovascular system time to adjust gradually. Monitoring blood pressure while seated and again after standing can also reveal patterns that help individuals and healthcare providers identify orthostatic changes more clearly. Awareness is powerful because the body's regulation systems respond quickly to supportive behaviors. By respecting the physiology of circulation rather than rushing past it, many people find those unsettling moments of dizziness become far less frequent, allowing them to move through their morning routines with greater stability and confidence. Understanding what happens inside the body during those first moments after waking allows people to approach the morning transition from lying down to standing in a more supportive way for the cardiovascular system. The key idea is that blood pressure regulation depends on several systems working together: the heart, the blood vessels, the nervous system, and overall fluid balance. When these systems have time to adjust gradually, circulation to the brain remains more stable. One practical approach many clinicians recommend is allowing the body a brief adjustment period before standing fully. After waking, sitting on the edge of the bed for a short time gives the cardiovascular reflexes an opportunity to respond to gravity step by step instead of all at once. During this moment, gentle leg movements can activate what physiologists call the skeletal muscle pump, When the calf muscles contract, they compress the deep veins in the legs and help move blood upward toward the heart. Even simple ankle flexing or slowly tightening and relaxing the calf muscles can encourage circulation to return toward the upper body before standing. Hydration also plays a meaningful role in morning blood pressure stability. During sleep, the body naturally loses fluid through breathing and normal metabolic processes. For some individuals, especially older adults, this overnight loss can lead to mild dehydration by morning. Drinking water after waking can help replenish circulating fluid volume and support the body's ability to maintain stable blood pressure. Some research suggests that water consumption can trigger a mild reflex response that increases blood pressure slightly for a short period, which may help counteract the temporary drop associated with standing. Monitoring patterns can also be useful. Measuring blood pressure while seated and then again after standing for a few minutes can reveal whether noticeable changes occur during the transition. Clinically, a drop of about 20 millimeters of mercury in systolic blood pressure within several minutes of standing is commonly used as an indicator of orthostatic hypotension. Identifying this pattern allows healthcare providers to evaluate contributing factors such as medications, hydration levels, or other health conditions. Medication timing and dosage may influence morning blood pressure changes as well. Certain medications that relax blood vessels or lower blood pressure can affect how quickly the body responds when posture changes. For individuals taking these medications, discussing timing, dosage, or side effects with a physician or pharmacist can sometimes help reduce symptoms. Adjustments may allow the cardiovascular system to maintain more stable pressure during early morning hours. Environmental conditions may also contribute to the experience. Warmer sleeping environments can cause blood vessels to dilate slightly during the night, which may influence vascular tone upon waking. Maintaining a comfortable sleeping temperature and establishing consistent sleep habits can support the body's natural circadian rhythm of blood pressure, which typically decreases overnight and rises again before waking. The broader goal is awareness of how posture, hydration, muscle activity, and medications interact with the body's cardiovascular regulation systems. Orthostatic hypotension itself is not uncommon in older adults, and many people experience mild symptoms occasionally. However, repeated episodes can increase the risk of falls or instability during daily activities, particularly when getting out of bed in the morning. Recognizing the physiological mechanisms involved helps individuals approach these transitions with greater caution and understanding. Simple adjustments in routine, combined with medical guidance when necessary, can support more stable circulation and reduce the likelihood of sudden dizziness. By paying attention to the body's signals and allowing the cardiovascular system a moment to adapt, many individuals are able to maintain steadier balance and continue daily routines with confidence and safety.